intro to functions. So what's a function, man? Well, a function is a relationship. It's a special relationship. So, definition. A function is a relation where each ordered pair has a unique y value. That is to say, the y values are not repeated. That's not how I usually teach this kind of thing. I usually talk about inputs and outputs. And for each input x, there is only one output y. So we'll talk about that in a minute. The next, some more definitions. For a relationship or a function, could be either one, for a relationship or a function, we define the following. The domain. This is the collection of all x values or inputs. And they don't actually have to be x values. Sometimes we use different letters like t or something like that. So maybe it's more appropriate that we call it the collection of all inputs. And we also define the range as, this is the collection of all y values or outputs. Okay. Let's talk about one more thing. The VLT. I'm not sure what kind of sandwich that is. Venison, lettuce, and tomato. It's kind of weird to have a deer sandwich. You can't just say veggie, lettuce, and tomato because that's, I don't know, why give it an acronym? Has anybody got a good V for the VLT? No? Nothing? Strictly business with you guys. Okay, no funsies, just mathematics. All right, VLT. Nothing like a vertical line test sandwich. Okay. Tastes like math. Gross. Vertical line test. The vertical line test works as follows. For a given graph of a relation, if we draw or imagine a series of vertical lines over the graph, if any vertical line intersects the graph more than once, the graph is not a function. And in my defense, my handwriting's better than this, but writing on a tablet with a slick surface and a pen, it's sliding all over the place. I got to tell you, if this was a classroom with a whiteboard, you guys would be like, oh my gosh, his handwriting is beautiful. But we'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never know. No big deal. The vertical line test, let's highlight that guy. That one's an important one. I'm sure you guys have all talked about the vertical line test before. And really what's going on here is this. So, what does it mean? That's more important, not how does it work. Small children in other countries can tell you how it works, but I want you to tell me like what it means. And so if I draw a graph of a relationship, oh, it's very smooth. This is our relationship. And I draw a series of vertical lines. Here's a vertical line. Let's get vert, bro. Oops, that's not vert. Ta-da. And here's a vertical line. You say, well, that vertical line, that only touches the graph once. That's okay. But here's a vertical line that touches the graph or intersects the graph at 3 different spots. And here's one, if I can do this, oh, so smooth, that actually, oops, only touches the graph in 2 spots, so I can make this look good here. Come on, drag it. Give it to me. There we go. Maybe this intersects in 2 spots. And so this fails the VLT. And why does it fail the VLT? Well, the vertical line test is to test for functions. And so what's going on here is, if you recall, each vertical line has the equation x equals some constant. And what you're doing when you go through here and you draw all these vertical lines is you're literally going through the domain. You're saying, what happens at this x value? What happens at the next x value? And so this might be, x equals -1, and this might be x equals 3/2, and x equals 3, and x equals -3. And you're going through here and you're systematically checking all these vertical lines. And so each vertical line represents or corresponds to an x value, an input. And if the vertical line intersects the graph more than once, that input x corresponds to multiple outputs y. So, for example, let's see if I can annotate this well here. This might be -1, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 and some change. I don't know, 4.3. And this is -1, 3/2. And this one is -1, -3/2. And so what we have here is multiple outputs corresponding to a single input. Multiple outputs from one input. And so this fails the vertical line test, which implies that this is not a function. So there's some review and a little bit more maybe in-depth analysis of what's going on there than just, hey, the vertical line touched the graph inappropriately. Yeah? Okay. So